feel like one of those people with blue eyes be like, except I don't have blue. Okay, small disclaimer. I sound awful this whole video. I have a really bad cold, but I just wanted to make a video, and I told myself that I would this year make videos because, I don't know, I just enjoy it. It's fun, and I enjoy watching other people's videos, and part of this whole video is about how much you consume versus how much you create. So I thought, what better time? But I do have an awful cold, and I sound like I'm dying. I also ate rotten mushrooms. So thoughts and prayers if this is my last video. I bought mushrooms yesterday. I forgot that my boyfriend left mushrooms in my fridge 2 weeks ago. And I accidentally cooked and ate those. So hopefully I don't die. My first reason why we are wasting our lives away on our phone, or at least why I feel like it's a waste, is when was the last time you were truly bored? Like, doing nothing, not meditating, not, you know what I mean? Not doing a single thing. Because in my opinion, creativity is born of boredom. Thoughts are born of boredom. When you were little and before you had a phone, before you had a tablet, sorry, I'm like hiding in the corner because if I go over here, it's, but before any of that, you could be outside and blades of grass were magical. Sitting in the grass, I remember my friend and I would just search for fairy circles. We would try and find mushrooms, and we were convinced that we saw the fairies dancing in them, and there were just so many stories made from being bored, and that's, in my opinion, so important. We're not going to, I don't know, I feel like we're just losing our creativity, and obviously there could be a counter argument for that there could be, you know, the counter argument that you can get so much inspiration on social media and you can, and obviously that's true. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying more of the doom scrolling, being on social media for half your day and not actually doing anything about it. You know, because you can also say, look how much inspiration there is, look how much I'm taking in, but are you making anything? And that's exactly why I'm making this video, because I really wasn't making anything. I haven't been, you know, like, I love YouTube. I love watching other people's thoughts and opinions and all of that stuff, but I haven't been making anything of my own, and I don't know, why not? I mean, obviously there's the whole, like, I'm going to be judged, it's online, that's terrifying, but, you know, how can you possibly give your attention to anything if you're on your phone? I mean, maybe I'm just so squirrel brained, but the phone is always going to win. If there's something boring happening, or I can watch a dog do cartwheels, I'm gonna watch the dog do cartwheels. I don't know about you, but you know, how can you actually live in the moment and give your life 100% if there's a lot more fun things happening in the palm of your hand? Also, most of the time when you're on social media, you're watching other people's lives, and then you're obviously not giving your life the, I can't think of a word, but you know, you're not giving the same amount of attention to your own life as you are to other people's lives. And that's, you know, why would you do that? Be selfish. Give your life attention, you know? You'll see people on social media that are like, I wake up and I brew the best cup of tea and I sit and I pet my dog. And you're like, wow, they have such a great life. And you know, they're probably lying, but why not replicate it? Why not decide, okay, I don't need to watch someone else's life and see how great it is. How great can I make my life, you know? I don't know. That's just my thought. Third, I actually don't have a third one written down, but this is a concept that I saw from another video that kind of made me terrified in a good way. You know, sometimes you need something to be the catalyst. But I saw something saying that we will have a large collected memory, but it won't be our own. Because social media, we are so obsessed with other people's lives that instead of having our own personal memories, especially this is for the younger generations who are now getting phones at the ripe age of 10. The point is that, you know, where in the past you remember going camping with 5 of your friends and all these great things, now you're going to remember the same thing as millions of people, but it's not going to be your memory. It's going to be a memory of someone online. And you know, you could say, oh, well, that's how it's always been because of newspapers and whatever. And I'm not talking about major news. I'm not talking about, you know, I can't even think of something, at least something good. But I'm talking about you know, so-and-so wore this outfit, you know. I mean, maybe it was a great outfit, but I don't think that needs to be your core memory. But just because there are scary things happening doesn't mean that there aren't solutions. And also, you know, what you get out of it, because if you got nothing out of it and you're just bored all the time, I'd understand saying, you know what, I'm going to continue doom scrolling every day. But for me, I never get fulfillment out of being on social media. I get fulfillment from, sometimes I'll say, I'm looking for this specific thing to get inspiration for this specific thing, and then I'm getting off. And that feels good for me. But I'm talking about when you say, oh, I'm just gonna scroll for a few minutes, and then it's been 3 hours and you feel awful. I don't really feel fulfilled from that. But I do feel fulfilled from doing fun tasks. And I'm not talking about productivity, like do your laundry and clean your whole house and you'll feel better. Because, you know, you probably will. But I'm talking about like getting a hobby. And I love scrapbooking. And scrapbooking for 3 hours versus scrolling for 3 hours feels very different. And it is, because scrolling, because when you're scrolling, you're just getting a bite-sized chunk of something and then going on and getting another bite-sized chunk and not actually really retaining anything or gaining any skills. Not that you're gaining skills scrapbooking, like, unless you're really bad at cutting stuff or really bad at taping things. I don't know. But, you know, you're focused on the same thing for 3 hours straight. And if you're on social media, you're just getting a million things for 3 hours straight. So I'm not here to tell you science. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong, but I don't know. It feels different to me. Also, it's not all or nothing. I see a lot of videos that say, just throw out your phone, go analog. I went analog for the year. It was my best year. I have no sense of direction. If I didn't have Apple Maps, not only would I not be making it anywhere, but other people would be in danger. And I don't think I'm gonna give up Apple Maps anytime soon. I know I could just get a GPS, but you know what I mean? But point being, I feel like it's more of a lengthening your attention span rather than just throwing your phone out the window. For me, it's kind of the visual aspect and the length that is appealing, because it's just short bursts of visually pleasing or interesting things, where you can then, instead of doing short form media, because it's hard to jump from scrolling for hours to just sitting in silence every day. And also, life would be boring if you just sat in silence every day. Something that I do is, if I want to scroll, instead, I'll watch a movie. You're still getting that visual entertainment, but you're not getting different things every 5 seconds. I don't know if it's scientifically better for you, but oh my gosh, getting blinded. Since the visual aspect is so strong, I feel like a great next step is audiobooks and podcasts while you're doing stuff, and then moving on to reading as your primary form of entertainment, and then journaling, meditation, sitting in silence. It doesn't have to be just throw your phone away and never look at it again. At least that's what I think. You don't have to listen to what I think, but sometimes I think I have good ideas. Last solution, I would say, is always have an alternative to your phone. Always have a book with you. I don't know where it went. Oh, it's right here. It's so tiny. I have a little pocket journal that's upside down. I have a little pocket journal that I bring everywhere. I actually shove it in my pocket. And I feel like it's always hardest when you're in a waiting room and there's actually nothing to do. It's just so easy to grab your phone. But if you bring a book or a pocket journal, at least you have a choice. Even if you don't take the choice, at least you gave yourself a choice, But obviously you don't need an alternative, because you can simply sit in silence like we are supposed to do. Or meditate or do breath work. Anyways, that is all. I don't know. This probably wasn't anything revolutionary, but I told myself this year I was going to make videos, and I was going to step out of my comfort zone and make talking videos, and here we are.